Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cherry the Geek TV. I'm Joe Vanourney. Today we are joined by Jesse Kove. He's an actor who is currently starring in the brand new action comedy Killing Mary Sue, which is now available to stream on all VOD platforms. Jesse, welcome to Cherry the Geek TV.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off by talking about what is Killing Mary Sue. Set it up for people. When you're describing the film to people, what do you tell? How do you describe it to people?
This is a political action comedy, which is three very different genres all put together, which is always great. It's a really fun movie. I think people are going to be delightfully surprised when they watch this. It's not just your typical political thriller. All the action in this is very fun and big, and it's like I said, it's comedy, which is great. Every character in this movie is just completely unhinged. And I think that's one of the draws that brought me into this was being able to play characters like these.
You play Chet Steiner in the film. Who is Chet Steiner, and how does he fit into the story of Killing Mary Sue?
Chet Steiner is an elite assassin leading a task force that is basically a death squad. They kill everything in their path, but they come across Mary Sue, who for some reason is a stopping force for them, and we just do not know why. And you'll have to see the movie to figure out why.
And besides yourself, the film's packed with people. Sierra McCormick, of course, plays Mary Sue, but the film also includes Dermot Mulroney, Sean Patrick Flannery, Jason Mewes, Jake Busey, French Stewart, and of course your dad, Martin Kove. When you get up in the morning when you're filming this and you look at the call sheet and you see your name on this list, not too shabby, huh?
It's always a piece of gratitude when you get to work with people like that have just done so much that you've seen over the years. It never ever feels real. You're just kind of looking at it and you're like, oh wow, like I'm working with all these great people, or I'm becoming friends with them, and it's always you just always got to take it with a grain of salt, and you bring your own stuff to the table, which is great. But everybody was so much fun. Jake is such a jokester. I mean, people have asked me who was the biggest like clown on set. It was definitely Jake. He would make me laugh daily, every hour. It was just something funny that he would come up with and making the scenes better and more comedy. I love that guy.
So we mentioned your dad, Martin Kove. Your character doesn't get to interact with his character in this film. You're both working on it, but you have worked together on projects in the past. What's it like growing up with a dad who's a established actor in film and television, and then getting to appear on screen with him and appear in movies that he's also in?
I've said this before. It's just I'm very lucky. It's a wonderful thing that we get to work. What we do lasts forever. So it's such a blessing that we get to do that. And we also have a lot of fun. We push each other to do our best. We care about each other a lot. We want each other to succeed. So it's nice to have someone, who has your back, especially when you're working together like that. And my dad's history, he's done like 200 movies. So it's different projects. He's such an encyclopedia of knowledge in the film business. So it's always great to pick his brain, even as his own son. I find myself always trying to get data and knowledge from him and his experiences.
What's the greatest piece of advice that he's given you over the years that you've taken with you and applied to your work?
Take your time. Take your time. When you speak, when you're doing a movie, and you don't have to rush through anything. People will listen to you, if you take your time. That's what I think one of the things he's great at, especially if you watch like Cobra Kai, is how he takes his time with his dialogue and his lines and the delivery of them as well. They hit so much harder when he says them.
uh, when you're growing up and he's taking you to movie sets and you're getting to hang out on sets, meet actors, watch them produce things, what was the moment that you decided? Dads take their kids to work. Some dads are bakers and they take their kids to the restaurants and they grow up in the restaurant. Some dads are accountants. They take their kids to the office. Your dad's taking you to movie sets. When was the point? And sometimes kids don't want to follow their parents' path, but you did. What was the moment? Was there a moment, or was it always there?
I I I remember always seeing my dad in movies growing up, different movies that he had done, and I didn't quite understand it yet at the time. And then I always enjoyed entertaining my family and making my mom laugh. I love making my mom laugh even till today, whether it's through characters or something funny. And they never pushed me to be in the business, and so, but they always encouraged me to be creative and tell stories. And I used to make movies with my dad's camera. And I there was a point, I was doing theater in school and I did off Broadway. There was a point when I was like 17 where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take this seriously and really go in this direction. And you just chip away at it every year, just kind of getting better and better and better. It's a long game. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's so rewarding. And here I am, getting to do all these great movies, and I get to work with my father on the side as well. I'm really lucky that way.
I'm curious. I always like to ask people, what were your influences? Like when you were growing up and you're watching movies and you're watching television shows, was there any performance or any film in particular that inspired you? And anything currently, modern day things that you're watching that are like that are inspirational to you?
Oh yeah, I mean you've got Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg and Francis Ford Coppola, all these guys, The Godfather. You got James Cameron made like Titanic. I was like 6 when that movie came out. Just seeing the scope of that movie was so amazing when I came out and seeing it in theaters. Um, just being moved by all these stories, the good, the bad, the ugly. Ennio Morricone, the list goes on and on. You got Christopher Nolan today doing such incredible work, and that you're always so inspired by different people. I just saw I went to the movies 2 days ago and I saw The Wild Bunch, directed by Sam Peckinpah, one of my favorite movies. So seeing that in the theater was so great. So these are all different inspiring creatives that have influenced me in my life.
You've also appeared in the series Cobra Kai, and I want to talk to you about that, but we have to backtrack a little bit here, set this up. Your dad, Martin Kove, of course, appears as John Kreese in the Karate Kid films. But in 1984, he has a small part in Karate Kid Part 2, Karate Kid Part 3, 1989. You're born after this, right? Yeah, all of this Karate Kid era stuff that involved your dad took place before you were born. When was the point in your life? How old were you when you realized, or when your dad showed you, when you discovered the Karate Kid? And what was that was like seeing your dad in kind of like a villain role as the bad guy?
I would have probably seen it when I was maybe 7 or something like that, and I put it together. But again, it was always a part of my life, so it was never like a surprise. It was always like, oh, this is what my dad does. He's an actor, so it was never like new to me. It was always interesting to see people's reactions to him in out in the real world. Um, and when I would hear people talk about the movie, that's when I kind of realized, oh, like he's part of something really special. And so that was always cool to see that growing up. And, he was always been so gracious with his fans and over the years, and now into Cobra Kai. It's been really great to see the evolution of that for him.
So Cobra Kai, decades later, Josh and John and Hayden come up with this concept for Cobra Kai, and we're going to bring all these characters back. When you first heard this idea, before you saw the execution of it, because it's a great show and they nailed it in the execution, but on paper, when I first heard it, I was like, man, this is a terrible idea. And it's going to be on YouTube. This was before it was on Netflix. It's on YouTube Red. And man, this is not going to work at all. But then you see the final product and you're like, oh, this is a great show. What was your thoughts on that before you saw the final product?
We thought the same thing. When I first heard about it, I remember sitting with my dad, like, oh, Karate Kid on YouTube. I was like, is this a joke? Like, what the hell are they doing? I literally thought it was ridiculous. But then he was like, no, they want to make it like a dramatic show. And I was like, wow, like, how could they do that? And then they were just, those 3 guys are just amazing creatives. They're such fans of the story and the show. I mean, they made the show for themselves and for the fans, because they are fans and they knew what people wanted to see. So they did such a brilliant job, and I'm fortunate enough to call them friends. And they're just such wonderful men, and we're lucky to have them in Hollywood.
So they bring the character of John Kreese into the very end of season one, Cobra Kai. Season three comes along, and they want to tell the backstory of the character of John Kreese. They want to tell how he turned to the dark side, right? So they set up this story of him. He's going to Vietnam. That's where he meets Terry Silver. But you get cast as a bully that kind of sets him on his journey, right? He was kind of a nice guy, wasn't able to defend himself. He gets picked on before he goes to Vietnam, where he turns to the dark side. And you get cast as the guy who kind of sets this character, John Kreese, off. Uh, talk to me about that experience. You weren't born yet when when those Karate Kid films came out, and here you are. You're the one that sets this legacy character that your dad portrayed off on his journey. Talk to me about that experience.
Well, I was so lucky to be a part of that. I auditioned for it. I knew what it was, and I worked my ass off because I wanted to do great. And it was such a nice surprise to be a part of that. And even when we were filming it, my co-star I was working with, Barrett Carnahan, who plays young Kreese, he was just equally as excited I was. We felt like we were in Back to the Future or something. It was just so cool. And it's like one of those moments in life that you just kind of like, wow, that really happened. We were there, we did this, we told this story, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it was unbelievable. And again, kudos to the writers for creating that backstory that was so important, and then created other flashbacks throughout the show that was really deepened and put more layers on the characters, and ultimately giving Ralph flashbacks as well. And so I think the fact that that worked out really well, it set up a lot for the rest of the show. So I always joke around that Cobra Kai wouldn't have started without me in the diner.
Uh, you've been in a lot of projects, right? A lot of them action oriented. Killing Mary Sue, now available on streaming, action comedy. Talk to me about what, if you could manifest a role for yourself, a film for yourself, a character for yourself, what do you envision? What's your kind of hopes? Where do you want to see yourself as we move forward with your career?
So a versatile actor. I really enjoy doing different characters. I never want to be pigeonholed as being like the one guy, he just does that. I always want to strive to do different characters and get lost in a character and be goofy and silly, or, do character work like Johnny Depp. And so if you look at the movies I've done, they're all very different, very different characters. I'm going to start this new movie in New Mexico next month. It's a very different character than what I normally play. He's very layered and very kind of like Ryan Gosling and like Drive kind of character. And so I'm lucky that I get to have the opportunity to do that. And yeah, that would be, I mean, I used to always talk about, oh, a superhero thing would be fun, but there's so many superheroes now. It'd be interesting to see what the next phase of that could be. Another interesting character, or it would be so fun to do something on like a Tom Cruise level action movie, or some sort of Lord of the Rings type movie. I love period pieces as well.
Is there a project that you've already done that if people are watching this and they kind of want to look into your filmography, is there one or two projects that you're the most proud of and say this is where you should start?
Yeah, I would go to On Wings of Eagles, which is a movie I did with Joseph Fiennes, a World War II. It's a World War II, epic World War II movie. It's huge, and that was a great, great film. I'm super proud of that. I play a prisoner of war in that alongside him, and it's got a nice spiritual aspect to it as well. So definitely start with that one, On Wings of Eagles.
All right. Well, you can check out On Wings of Evil, On Wings of Eagles, and also check out Jesse in Killing Mary Sue, now available to stream on VOD platforms everywhere. Jesse, thank you so much for chatting with us today on Cherry the Geek TV.
Joe, thank you so much.
You deserve the world, Sugar Plum. Now I'm gonna give it to you.
What do you think? My dad robbed a convenience store when I was 7.
He was shot, or what was it?
Stabbed 12 times in the face and neck. Cue my mom meeting Senator Bradley Wiener. Look at me now, Dad. I get to have all your fun with none of the consequences.
Mary Sue Harper.
Mary Sue Harper.
Mary Sue Harper
Was detained this afternoon.
You need to find a calling in life outside of your vices.
She is a national security risk.
I need you to put a bullet in her.
Senator Wiener looks to be reelected for his 4th term.
Eliminate Mary Sue, and I also garner the sympathy vote. Is the team ready? This job has to be so clean you could eat off it.
What the hell's going on?
What are we gonna do? We fight. Mary Sue, this is not a video game. Did you kill all those people?
I just got caught up with all the assassination attempts.
Are you gonna kill her?
Don't you find this odd?
Animals like Mary Sue survive and thrive on chaos.
You know, I'm starting to think none of these guys have even played Fortnite.